I said we vote because of the blood oath that's been spilled for our past leaders and ancestors who have all been killed, to fight for a right that we as humans deserve. That's a reason why I vote, but it's only the first. Why vote? You should vote if you care about your community. I mean, look at your everyday life and tell me, what do you see? Please have mercy on me. Why vote? Is it a perfect place full of peace, love, and positivity? Or are there some problems that can be solved and room for more productivity? Most people hear the word vote and think of a U.S. president, when in reality that position for us is irrelevant. Do you know about state representatives, governors, mayors, or city council members, attorney generals, sheriffs, judges, and local commissioners? See, there are many positions of power we all have a power to impact. But the true reason why we are enslaved is within us, and that's a fact. Please have mercy on me. Please have a little mercy on me. Why vote? Why vote? I vote because I'm black. I vote because at the end of the day, I'm the only one that's gonna have my back. I vote because when I was 16, the state wanted to send me to prison. I was young, hurt, and lost, but they couldn't be compassionate with my decision. My public defender told me, hey, they say you looking at 5 years. I went to my JDC cell as a teen and much fear drowned in tears. I thought about my brother and them growing up with no male role model. I thought about my mother and leaving her alone in all her sorrow. I thought about not graduating and disappointing my family. I thought about that day as if it was gonna happen that tomorrow. Why vote? Please have mercy on me. Oh, please have just a little mercy on me.
I vote because of how many times I've been stopped by the police. I vote because of the trauma and the trigger when they behind me. All I see is a gun in my face and voices yelling, get down, get down. But when I move to get down, they shoot me and load me with rounds. Why vote? I vote because it is one of my only rights as an American. Not to mention an African American. An African without heritage and an American with no inheritance. And therefore, I'm the only one that's capable of changing my narrative. Why vote?
Once you've paid your debt to society, your voting rights should be returned immediately. That is a absolute requirement of what we have to do.
I vote because I believe we can change our systems around education, economics, environmental justice, emotional intelligence, incarceration, and health. I vote because I've been working to save everyone else. Why vote? You should vote so people like Donald Trump won't become a dictator of your land. One day you laughing, head on, man, another day you got handcuffs around your hands, being drugged up out of your home during the World War III. And all of a sudden we in a bloodbath with a bunch of other countries. Why vote?
Wake up, wake up. Yeah. Why vote? Good morning, y'all. Welcome to the Dark Side of Education. We live on Justice for the Cities. I'm your host, Rashad Turner. Good morning, Grandma. Glad you woke up this morning to join us. I love you. Good morning, everybody out there. I hope everybody's having a good Sunday. If you're here in Minnesota, you know it's cold. It's freezing. Last night was windy, though, so don't have to rake the leaves like I thought I was going to have to today. But welcome. We got a good show coming up today. Got some young all-stars coming on here to talk about Get Out the Vote efforts, talk about their thoughts on this campaign season. We got a big election coming up Tuesday. We're going to talk a little bit of education, Minneapolis public schools. They got this surveillance program, Gabble, something like that they've paid for, basically to monitor our students. So we're going to hopefully bring on some folks to talk about that a little bit. I call it the World Wide Web to prison pipeline. You might have heard of the school to prison pipeline. Well, we ain't in school, right? Our children are at home, distance learning. But for some reason, Minneapolis Public Schools chose to spend some bread, lots of it, a few $100,000, I think, to have this surveillance technology. So we got to learn a little bit about that, see what's going on. Maybe Chair Ellison will join us today. But like I said, we got some young all-stars who are really, in my opinion, and I know both of these guys for a long while now. And I'm going to start with Mr. Elijah Norris, a young cat who is doing a bunch of work, whether it's organizing, whether it's campaigning. You know, he ran for school board, you know, didn't get the W that time, but very active out here. And I thought that since we're talking about education, since it's political election season, campaign time, I thought it'd be good to really get a word from these folks to see what happens before folks go and cast that vote, right? A lot of work goes into making sure that awareness is out there and people have the information they need, people are registered. So we're going to dive into that. I'm seeing y'all's comments. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Capitalist surveillance, referring to that MPS thing. You're absolutely right. I like that. I like that. I don't like that they're doing that to our children, but I do like how you frame that. So good morning. We're gonna start with Elijah. Lewiee Blaze is gonna be joining us. You heard his track, his new track, Why Vote? But we're gonna start with Mr. Elijah Norris Holiday. One of my, we'll talk about. Let me bring him on. Mr. Norris Holiday, good morning. How you doing, sir? Let me see. You're muted. There's something always with this technology. Don't even worry, Elijah. You figure it out. But anyways, I'm going to say what I was starting to say while Elijah gets his technology stuff figured out. But I used to work out in White Bear Lake area schools. Right out of college, it was a African-American liaison position. And it seems like back in the day now. But it was a position that allowed me to be working with students, families, administrators. It was good. I learned a lot. And Elijah, and we'll talk about this more in a second, but Elijah was, you know, one of the students that I was honored to be able to partner with on his journey out there in White Bear Lake. Quite the experience out there in White Bear Lake. They actually call it White Boy Lake. So you can imagine, you know, what that experience might have been like for our young children out there. Elijah's back. I think his technology's up and running. You good, bro?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Sir.
All right, perfect.
Morning.
I think it was a little glitch. I just have to refresh it. Yeah, good morning. How you doing, Brother Rashad?
Hey, real good, brother. Real good. It's always something with this technology, man.
Always.
You know.
I can navigate, I can navigate it pretty well now that I've been doing, literally probably hundreds of these Zoom meetings now.
Yeah.
I really fear that our kids, though, aren't able to navigate it and figure it out.
Hey.
That's the concern.
Hey, say less. Say less, right? I was just starting to tell the audience about the days of White Bear Lake, you being a student out there, me being in that, what they call African-American liaison position. And I'll say to folks, it was really like one of those, you have a black person in a school building or in these school buildings to sort of control the black kids, right? Mm-hmm. And obviously I wasn't on that, but we won't go in. We'll leave White Bear Lake alone today, right? We're here to talk politics, talk GOTV, mm-hmm. Project Restore Minnesota, right? I don't know if folks know about Project Restore Minnesota. I'll get it in the comments so you can go to the website. But tell us a little bit about Elijah Norris Holiday, Project Restore, and all of the great work you're doing to make sure people are getting out to vote.
Yeah, I'm Elijah Norris Holiday, St. Paul, Minnesota, originally born in Chicago, but I've been here long enough, so I just rep the 651.
Yes, sir.
Met Rashad a long time ago. I probably was in 7th grade, I think, when we first bumped into each other.
Something like that.
And, we've been chatting back and forth here and there throughout the year. So always glad to see you still doing positive and great things, brother. Project Restore Minnesota is a community-based organization. You know, our main goal is to empower and uplift the ADOS community. I consider myself a member of ADOS, which is American Descendants of Slaves. It's essentially all Black Americans that have no direct ties to Africa, the continent of Africa. I think when people talk about Africa, they forget that it's an entire continent with various countries there, right?
And public education.
You know, exactly. So my family, you know, as far as we know, you know, we were from America. We know at one point of time, you know, our ancestors were in Africa, but, you know, as a result of the chattel slavery system, we came into America and we built this country up from the ground. So we definitely are trying to reclaim this land that my ancestors built here. This is the country that we know, and this is the country that we belong in, and this is our country. So I'm American Descendant of Slave. Yes, and my entire organization is dedicated to the empowerment and uplifting of that community. So we do things like professional development, personal development. We've been able to secure some funding and support from Ramsey County Workforce Solutions. I'm glad that they've been intentional and purposeful about that work. And then as well as Hennepin County is coming on board as well to assist us in our efforts. So really, I see myself as a conduit, man. And I tell people all the time, like, what's your job? I'd say I'm just a conduit. I just connect resources in the community. I figure out where the hole is or where the gap is, and I try to bridge it. That's all I do.
And I know the answer to this next question, but you're very passionate. You're very sharp. I forgot to say at the top of the show, I hope folks got their coffee, right? You're going to hear some sharp stuff, very enlightening information today from a sharp brother. Get your coffee.
Wake up, y'all.
Wake up, right? I know the answer to this question a little bit, but where does all of that passion stem from, brother? I mean, I remember you in 7th grade, 6th grade, somewhere around then, and you were always a leader, always use your voice, always had the skills to navigate, right? Mm-hmm. And now I see you doing your thing, and I'm not surprised at all. But where does that drive and that energy come from?
I say it comes from a couple of different places. I say first it comes from my family, my grandmother, my father, my mother, who was here, on this earth. I lost her a couple of years ago, but she's always with me. But really, it's my family. They give me that drive. They give me that passion, and they also give me my information and my education. And there's also my mentors. People like you, people like Mr. Hines, Dr. Turner, Dr. Davis, like all of these cats that have really poured into me at a young age. They've always seen something in me, and they just invested in me. So really just having people in my community invest in me, empower me, and give me opportunities and platforms to share my voice with people. And the third thing is I really just love my people, man. And like I tell people all the time, I'm unapologetically Black. Yes, I don't know how to be nobody else. I don't know how to be nothing else besides Black. I'm a Black male living in America. And I may go about things in a different way that people don't agree with, but being Black is not a monolith, right? As long as the end goal is freedom and liberation for our people, I don't care the process that we take to get there. And that, and in short words, I'll do anything necessary to free my people and to liberate my people. So it's that passion and love that I have for my people, honestly, that drives me, wakes me up every day.
Hey, that's what's up. That's what's up. And I think that, the drive is obvious, right? But I wanted to ask you that because when I look out in the space, in the community, oftentimes, even in the work we do in the education space, somehow this happens where the younger voices are sort of pushed to the side. What has it been like navigating this advocacy space, this community space, as a young brother who's very sharp, but like you said, might do things differently?
The funny thing about power, Brother Rashad, is once you get it, you don't want to give it up. I've never been obsessed with power nor money. I want to share both of those because I understand that both of those things are just a vehicle to the destination of freedom and liberation, right? But for a lot of people, power and money is what their end goal is. That's not my end goal. That's my vehicle to get to my end goal, to get to my destination, but it's not the destination itself. Yes. So I've struggled a lot with people in our community, Black people in our community who consider themselves to be elders, right? Were giving me space, were giving me a platform, were pouring resources to me, even though they have them. So that's been a bigger struggle. You know, and I'll just say this blatantly. I've been getting more support for my causes from people who don't look like me. You know, I've been getting more encouragement for the things that I've been doing and working on from people who don't look like me. And to me, that's heartbreaking. When we have the resources, you know, we have the education. We just don't choose to share it with the people, right? We want to consolidate all of it to ourselves. That ain't how you do it. So it's been a struggle.
And I'm glad you're speaking that real, right? Because one of the things is, as I look at you sort of coming up in this space, as I look at Lewiee Blaze, as I look at Anika Bowie, other folks that are, you know, rising up in this space, taking control of the space, right? Is I see y'all having to navigate some of the same things that I did maybe 5 years ago, right? Some of the same experiences that you're having with folks who don't look like us, being the most supportive, right? That was something that during my time with Black Lives Matter, I would always have to explain to folks, well, hey, that there's a lot more white people out here than there are people who look like me, right? And I think that that's shifting a little bit, right? I think after George Floyd was murdered, I think I've seen a shift where our people are standing up, doing more. And I think that a lot of the credit goes to folks like yourself, right? And not that you're in this for credit. I'm going to shower you with it. I know you won't tell you, you know, pat yourself on the back sometimes, but I know it's all about the grind. But folks like yourself really leading that way, pushing the older generations to have to do something different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today, you know, we're in this campaign season. I know you're doing a lot of work on the ground with Miss Sharon El-Amin. I know you have previous experience running for school board. So maybe start with, you know, why you get into politics on this education side or the campaigning side, and maybe just share a little bit about when you ran and, you know, would you ever run again, brother?
Yeah. So the first thing is how I got introduced to politics. Politics has always been around me since I was younger. My dad used to always have CNN on, MSNBC, like all these different Fox News sometimes. My dad's one of those individuals where he cross-examines, he gets information from multiple different sources, and then he makes his decision, you know? And honestly, he passed that down to me, where it's like, don't just pay attention to one news outlet. Watch multiple. And see, you know, what things do they have in common? What similarities are out there? And then also, what are the differences? And then use that information to make your own independent decision. So, you know, that definitely was passed off to me. I went to college. I started at Winona State University, and I was studying nursing. And I was doing exceptionally well in the nursing program. I passed through anatomy and physiology. I got through the OChem. You know, I'm a pretty smart guy. I will say that. I can
pretty
catch
smart.
on
You very smart.
Yeah,
very
I can catch on to
intelligent.
things pretty quick. If I don't know, give me the book. I'll read it. I'll come back to you the next day. Like, look, I learned X, Y, and Z. Right.
Yeah. Sorry.
So I did pretty phenomenal in that first couple of years, and I got to the point where I needed to take the TEAS exam. Right, it's an exam you have to take to actually get admitted into the nursing program at Winona State.
Okay.
I think multiple programs like that throughout the state. Got to that point, I'm like, you know what? Do I really want to go into nursing? Can I really see myself being a nurse? The only thing that was really fueling my passion to become a nurse was I wanted to help people. And for the longest time, I thought that was the only way for me to help people was by literally helping them, right?
Yeah.
From when they're sick. And I had this conversation with myself. Literally, I remember it like it was yesterday. I was in McDonald's, man. That's the funny. I was in McDonald's. I was with one of my homegirls. She also was applying to the nursing program as well. She had to take the TEAS exam. And I was telling her, I'm like, I don't really think that this is going to be right for me. I don't think this is the right decision. Something that feels off about this, right? I got to this point. I did 2 years of grinding, keeping my head down, studying hard. And I just don't feel like this is the right path. And she's like, Elijah, if your heart's not in it, don't go into it. Because once you take that TEAS exam, you're going to be in a nursing program. It's going to get harder. Right. And then once you graduate, you gotta work that job unless you want to go back and waste more money. And she just kept it real with me. She's like, I'd rather you go back right now versus you waiting another year and a half and having to go back and complete a whole 3 or 4 years. And I'm like, you know what? That's real. I went back to my dorm. I think I called Mr. Hines, one of my instructors at the time. And, you know, he told me the same thing. And I changed my major to public administration, man. And I think I've always wanted to go into politics. The one thing that kept me from actually fully engaging and investing in it was my dad was always like, the only way to make money as going into politics or whatever is by running for office.
Yeah.
But, and this is no knock at my dad or no shot at him, I just don't think he knew what other jobs existed outside of just being a politician. Like, you could be a city manager, you could be a city planner, you could be a financial planner, you could be a financial director, you can head a certain department depending on what you specialize in. You know, there's so many different avenues you can go down once you study public administration, but he didn't know that. He just saw politics, politician, that's it. So once I started educating myself more about the different types of systems, the different pathways in political science and public admin, man, I fell in love with it. And I've just been pursuing this relentlessly ever since then. This is the true way to liberate and free our people. It's economic, and then we have to gain political power, and then we'll have liberation.
Hey, I'm over here snapping like I'm listening to a keynote. You know what I mean? You that sharp, right? I mean, you put in the time to make sure you know what's going on, which is why, you know, I look up to you, right? I mean, I look up to you when I see you navigating the space. And there's been times where you've had to check me on some things, you know what I mean? And I think that we have to do that though, right? I mean, we have to be able to communicate, over communicate, and keep each other on the path while at the same time understanding like, hey, you know, there's different ways people approach the situation, but something you said is something I believe in, right? It's by any means necessary, you know?
And you know, it's all out of love, man. I will only do that because I love you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I ain't scared of you, man. No, I'm just playing. No, and I appreciated it. You know what I mean? So we got some important elections coming up, you know, at the national level. I don't really mess around at the national level. You know, there's a lot of noise at that level, right? But as we think locally, school board elections, I know you've been working on Sharon Elameen's campaign. She had a family emergency and couldn't join us, so praying that all is well for the Elameen family. Can you share a little bit about Sharon Elameen's campaign? Just give us some thoughts, right? This is Dark Side of Education, so we can talk politics, we can advocate for politicians, people we want to see. So let the audience know about Sharon Elameen.
Yes, absolutely. And as you preface the conversation, I am very active politically in the Twin Cities, probably a lot more than people know, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
With that being said, I've worked with a lot of different candidates over the last couple of years, either just through limited capacities or full out running their campaigns for them. And one thing that I do before I agree to work with anybody, I always give them like a little, I wouldn't say that it's an interview, but I want to get to know them more, right? Because for me, it's not just about the money. And if you ever work with me directly, you would understand that it's not just about the money. Some people would just take your money, give you this whatever advice, send you this way, send you that way, and then all right, see you next election if you choose to run again, right? That's not me. So, you know, when I first sat down and I talked with Sharon, you know, we were just having some honest conversations about disparities that exist in our community. And, you know, I'm one of those types of guys, and you've known me for a while. I spend a little bit of time on the problem. I might highlight the problem. I might make a post about the problem. But understand, when I make that post about the problem, I'm already working on a solution.
Exactly.
So if everyone was to ever reach out to me and say, I see you posting a lot about the problem. What solutions do you have? I can say, I got this solution. Here's how we can implement it. Here's how we're executed. Here's where we're going to find the money at, right? That's just how my mind works. And I found that same thing inside of Sharon, which for me was like, dude, she's not focusing on what the issues is. We all know that there's disparities in the Minneapolis public school system and St. Paul public school system. You know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to tell you that our kids are being failed every day in these classrooms, right? And Sharon's like, immediately, here's the solutions. We need to get parents involved. We need to hold school board members accountable. We need to hold admin accountable. We need to come up with strategic ways to engage our students beyond the classroom, right? So they're constantly learning. They're in an environment where it's constant learning happening around them. And I'm like, to me, it's like, wow, that's what I've been saying all along. And now I finally have a candidate here saying the same thing. So it's not just Elijah going on tangents and rants on Facebook or on Twitter. You know, it's somebody else out there who believes and thinks the same way that I do, that our kids deserve so much more beyond just what they get in the classroom, Rashad.
Absolutely.
And Sharon's so passionate about that, man. And when I had this conversation with her, we were on the FaceTime. or maybe it was Zoom, FaceTime, whatever. It was some type of video platform we were on. And I just saw her face light up when we're going back and forth, trading these ideas with each other, talking about this so passionately. And right then and there, I knew that I was going to support her all the way through.
Yeah. And I'll just add, right? I mean, I've had an opportunity to work with Sharon, partner with Sharon El-Amin over the years. And I've also had an opportunity to try and partner with the current board member who is in that seat, Carrie Jo Felder, right? So when I say to the community, like, hey, I know I'm over here in St. Paul, but the work of education, closing the disparities, making sure our children have quality education, that's, you know, a statewide effort, right? And I've seen Sharon step up to the plate several times to, again, like Elijah said, right, not just identify a problem, but actually dive into some solutions. And when you have a candidate like Sharon, who starts with parents, starts with our children, that's a big difference from what we usually have on school boards, right? You mentioned all of the things, right, that you just did about Sharon. I can't say that I could mention even half of those things when it comes to Carrie Jo Felder, right? So, and it's like, and Elijah, you don't got to get into this part of it. I can take care of this part. But when you have board members, whether it's in Minneapolis, whether it's in St. Paul, Red Wing, I see y'all out there. We'll be down there. But when you have board members who are so closely tied to the teachers' unions that they only make the decisions that the unions want them to make, it's easy for them to overlook our children, right? It's easy to overlook the fact that, especially there on the north side, we need leaders who are focused on solutions, right? It's easy to get caught up. And I'm not saying that I, you know, dislike Carrie Jo, right? You can love Carrie Jo. This person here says, I love Carrie Jo. She has the same problem Obama had with the Republican Congress. I don't know Sharon, but she sounds awesome. Well, I'm not sure what you're talking about with the Republican Congress, because Carrie Jo has been a part of, you know, the majority on the Minneapolis Public School Board, the majority who have pretty much done nothing over these past 4 years for our children, right? But back to the solution-focused Sharon El-Amin. What are some of the things, Elijah, that you would sort of point out, specific policies or things within MPS? I know if Sharon was on here, she would be absolutely opposed to the surveillance of our children. But what are some of the policies or things that, you know, Sharon wants to focus on when she's elected?
I know one thing for sure, a couple of things that we've talked about rather extensively is reviewing the budget and making sure that there's proper funding going out to families that need technology. If we're going to continue to do this online distance learning, we cannot have families without Wi-Fi, without optimal hotspots, right? They get a little hotspot, man, but that thing doesn't work to its full optimization. I mean, you can't really use it that well, right? And you want the kids to be online doing online learning for 6-7 hours. I mean, I'm sure that thing has limitations to it, right? They need solid Wi-Fi. The city needs to take up that issue, and they need to subsidize Wi-Fi for people in communities that need it the most. I mean, so that needs to be a conversation that starts on the school board, but then it needs to be then a conversation about the broader city of Minneapolis and city council members of how they can work together strategically to provide Wi-Fi for all of our families that need it, or at least subsidize it so it's more affordable.
Yeah. And Elijah, let me pause you right there, right? Because this is something that digital divide that you're speaking of, right? It's been something that has been there since going back to the beginning of this pandemic, right? So you have board members who have been there. They have not figured out how to address this problem. I'm not even sure what they've been doing since March. It's not clear. And you talk about funding, right? I mean, we had a meeting with Ed Graff. They talked about the $31 million they received. We still have no clue. Community has no clue how that money was spent, right?
Yeah.
And I just wanted to point that stuff out for the audience because it's like the pandemic has been going on for so long, right? We're getting to this point where it's about to get worse again.
Yeah.
What they're saying.
Yep.
And we know there's this digital divide. And nothing, I'm not gonna say nothing, right? But nothing has been done to where it's just like
nothing significant.
What they need. But there you go.
Nothing significant. No.
Thanks for filling in that word. That's how sharp you were. You knew I was looking for a word, but that's what it was, right? But you just go ahead. I just wanted to,
Yeah, and to your point, Rashad, I think a lot of the times what these high-level admin do, superintendents do, they do just enough to get them by, right? Or what I like to say, they do it just enough not to get into the newspaper.
Yes.
And sometimes that could be saying, oh, we got $1 million, we're going to throw it towards this initiative. Okay, you put $1 million towards an initiative that's going to cost a total of $7 million. You have access to $30 million. Don't fool me.
Right.
Give me the rest of the information. And a lot of times what they like to do is they give us half of the information, right? So on paper, us saying that they're putting $1 million towards this initiative across the district or whatever, the entire Minneapolis public school district, we're like, oh my God, they're putting $1 million towards it.
Yeah.
Well, then no one asks the question of how much the initiative is going to cost in total.
Exactly.
So then we come to find out that the initiative is $7 or $8 million in total. They're only putting $1 million towards it.
Exactly.
And they have access to $30 million. So there's $29 million more that they could have used to fully fund this program or this initiative, but they gave us half the information. And some of us don't ask those deeper questions.
Right.
And like I said, they do just enough to stay out of the newspaper.
And
uncovers that.
I would bet this, Elijah, right? The board members have their Wi-Fi, right? The teachers in MPS have their Wi-Fi. They're making sure they're getting connected to their meetings. But now we're even at a point where because our children don't have Wi-Fi or because they're not logging into a Zoom, and I'm going to get into this later, but because they're not logging in, now we have families where police is showing up knocking at their door, right? Even though it's clear, obvious that this digital divide, nothing significant has happened to address it. And now our students, our families are being penalized because they miss a Zoom, right? What's your thoughts on that? We got time.
Yes, we do have time. I have nothing on my schedule for a couple hours, so I can talk all day. My immediate reaction to that is that it's ridiculous that I'm sitting here on the Sunday morning on your show in the year 2020, heading into 2021, talking to you about our kids, our students, not having access to Wi-Fi. In the year 2020, I'm having a conversation with you on a Sunday morning about some of our families not having access to Wi-Fi, Rashad, in the middle of a pandemic when everyone's expected to work from home, learn from home, do everything from home. How am I going to do anything from my home if I don't have Wi-Fi? And to me, it's completely ludicrous that police are showing up and that admin are even signing off on these types of things for people to go to their houses and harass families that don't have proper resources to educate their kids.
Exactly.
It's ludicrous.
I mean, and I had thought, I had read an article, or somebody sent an article to me last week. So I had thought that this was something that was sort of happening somewhere else, right? And then it was brought to my attention by a couple of folks, and we're going to make some calls this week, but that it is happening here in Minnesota, happening in St. Paul. So it's just something, part of it is getting that information, right? Paying attention, doing what we have to do, because we know, as you said, that the system, the status quo is going to do enough to stay out of the paper, right? I like how you put that, brother. I like how you put that. Good morning, everyone. It's the dark side of education, y'all. We on here. Elijah Norris, Holiday, Project Restore, Minnesota. We chopping up politics, talking about Sharon Elamine, talking about Minneapolis public schools right now. If you're in Minneapolis, what is that, District 4, Elijah?
District 2.
District 2. I always get them confused up, messed up. But if you're in District 2, Minneapolis, make sure you're voting for Sharon Elamine, right? If you want our children to have that opportunity for quality education right there in the district, and yes, this is me saying quality education from a traditional district, it can happen. I'm not against traditional district schools. I'm against schools that don't educate our children, right? And I think that Sharon El-Amin, along with a few other people, right, they have the opportunity in this next term, in these next years coming up, to really turn Minneapolis public schools around. I know that Sharon has a lot of support out in the community. I don't know if you have a list there of all of the folks, but some of the folks that come to mind: Nikema Levy Armstrong, Coach McKenzie. Who are some of the other folks out there repping, endorsing Miss Sharon El-Amin, Elijah?
Yeah, I think Dare Mosley,
President of PUC, Pillsbury United Communities. Yes, sir.
Our good old friend, Mr. English, I know has thrown some support our way.
Hey.
Sharon really has a lot of support just through community members as well, you know? So yeah, we've talked about a few high profile folks who are doing some amazing things in the community. Yes. But Sharon also has a lot of support from just average people, you know, that live in the district and want to see their kids properly supported. And, you know, we've door knocked, you know, as much as we can with COVID-19. Most of the time we're just putting lid on people's doorsteps because we want to be respectful and, you know, abide by the CDC guidelines and social distance and all that stuff. But we've been hitting the phones. We've been shooting out text messages. We got, you know, mailers going out. Sharon actually has been out doing the work in the community. And people see that. And when we're hitting the phones, they know the El-Amin last name. They know what it stands for. They know that they've been in that community for 30 years and that they're solid. More than anything, they're honest, they're transparent, and she's willing to be held accountable, which I think is a great thing. When you have a candidate, any candidate that's running for office willing to be held accountable, you need to get that person up there. Because you know, if something goes wrong, they're going to take responsibility for it, and they're going to let you know what they can do to fix it. They're not going to hide away from the problem. They're not going to go run inside their house and never come out again, like we see with so many politicians, especially over on that side of town. I'm not going to, shoot no names out there, but we got a lot of people where they see chaos happening in the community and they have these elected official capacities. They don't come out. They don't come outside, but the community is outside, Rashad. So even in the middle of a pandemic, the community is outside.
And community sees, right? I mean, I remember about a month and a half ago, Minnesota Parent Union, some of our folks, we were out there doing some canvassing. And I'll just say this, I may have seen one Carrie Jo Felder sign, but I know I've seen about 20, 25 Sharon El-Amin signs, right? And just so folks know, you know, Miss Sharon El-Amin, she ran for school board seat the last time. And I will say, as someone who, you know, was close to her at that time, sort of watching the campaign, participating how I could, she almost won that thing.
Oh, it was close.
It was
within, I think, less than 1,000 votes. I think it was less than like 600 votes. She actually gathered 40,000 votes, around 40,000 votes roughly, in her last election for at large. So she did exceptionally well for a first-time candidate. Limited support. And this is a grassroots campaign. Always will be a grassroots campaign.
And I'll say, so folks know, it's like, you know, sometimes we can sort of get thrust into this political space, right? Where we end up running, we might not know all that goes into it. We get a late start. And I would say, you know, Sharon got a late start last time, right? And she came that close to pulling it off. And I feel very confidently in the work you're doing, Elijah, and the work that Sharon's doing, the work that she's been doing, right? That she will be elected come Tuesday, right? Now, I want to hop to the other side of the river, right? Over here in our hood a little bit. Who you got in the St. Paul election?
There's a few people, but my big choice, though, is Jamila Mammy.
Someone was telling me you were going to say that.
You know, and it's a couple reasons why. I'm sure we'll get into the details on that, but Jamila Mammy, and then my second choice would probably be Mr. Vu.
Okay.
Mr. Jimmy Vu. I think they kind of. I'm taking Jamila all the way though. But if it was ranked choice and I got to do all that other stuff, Jimmy Vu will be my second.
You showing me some love there, so we don't get into too much of a debate. But we can have a healthy debate, right?
Yeah, of course.
Here's my thoughts on Jamila, right? And I'll just let the folks know I'm gonna be voting for Jim Vu, right? I've got yard signs up. My neighbors have yard signs up. Even some of my neighbors who I only talk to once a year, twice a year, they've stopped by, brought the door hanger, and they said, you put this there, right? And I said, yep, that's our guy. So I'm gonna be voting for Jim Vu. But here's what I think about Jamila. And I had an opportunity to watch the St. Paul Public School Board Candidate Forum the other night, co-hosted by Minnesota Parent Union, Center for School Change, People for PSEO, Uplift Minnesota. Shout out to them folks for, doing the work to get that off. They had we had some technology issues the time before that. So it was rescheduled. But here's what I'll say about Jamila, right? I think her heart is in the right place. But I think that early on in this process, the teachers union really got to her, put the cables on her, right? And here's why I'll say that. There was a time during the forum where Jamila talked about, basically how she doesn't like charter schools. And there were more words than that, but basically how she doesn't like charter schools. And then she finished that sentence off and said she went to a charter school, graduated from a charter school, had the opportunity to be at a charter school that met her needs academically, socially, and culturally. So that was just something that sort of threw me off, where I feel like maybe in a few years, after she's sort of been around the education space a little bit more, working with people like yourself, Anika Bowie, some other folks who've been around the space, I think she can do some good things for our children, right? But right now, I'm going Jim Vu. I want to make a big announcement to everybody. Somebody woke up a little bit late. Somebody got the sunshine shining on them. We got Lewiee Blaze in the house, y'all. Blaze, good morning.
Man, peace and love. Grand rising.
What's going on, brother Lewiee? What up?
Hey, man, all is well, man. God blessed me to wake up this morning. God just keep blessing me, keep blessing us. Another day, another chance. We out here doing what we got to do, resting to purpose, passion, and peace. I'm blessed that I was able to join y'all. I ain't miss everything.
Hey, no sir.
Yeah,
you right on time. We played Why Vote the top of the show because they jacked your freedom fighter off of YouTube. We was banging that freedom fighter for so long.
Man, so this is what happened, actually. Let me go ahead and share that with everybody who didn't get the update on my Blaze Nation group. But pretty much that instrumental, before I recorded that joint and released it, apparently it was exclusively sold to a label already, a label named Blueprint. And I pretty much had the beat. I got it like from a friend type deal, and I didn't connect with the exact producer. So I had to take it off, because somebody sold it already. But good news. I just recently connected with the producer. He live in Atlanta. I just flew down there. We laced like 7 different tracks in 2 days.
Oh.
We got a new version coming, man. It's art at the end of the day. So we're gonna keep expressing ourselves, keep speaking liberation to the people.
That's serendipitous, man.
Seriously, it is, man. So everybody out there, if you're a part of the music industry, if you're a part of any of that, just make sure that you always have strong communication with these producers, with these DJs, with the management. Make sure the communication is strong, and make sure that you rap over exclusively owned instrumentals. None of those YouTube beats. Don't just check the email and find something in the email. You feel me? Like, make sure that you have exclusive rights to those beats. And then you can not delete your song like I did.
Then your fans don't have to be sad, right?
Exactly.
But this the thing, right? You drop this Why Vote. It's right on time. Tell us about the track. Tell us about the work you do at M4. Bless us, King. Appreciate you.
Love. Yeah, so this Why Vote track, man, I actually created the spoken word earlier this year in February sometime. And it was really because I had linked up with Anika Robbins. Shout out to Black Votes Matter Minnesota. you know, and I was doing some work trying to get people registered early, you know, and trying to get people pledged to vote and everything. And from my experience of doing this, like even to go back some, back in 2018, I linked up with Anika Bowie and Eliza Dares over at the ACLU, and I was a Smart Justice Campaign ambassador. So I did a lot of canvassing, I did a lot of handing out literature and everything, and that's when I learned about different positions like county attorneys and attorney generals, and I learned that we vote judges into office. So that's really what enlightened me and was like, dang, politics do matter, right? Yeah. But when I go into my community, into my Black community, and speak to my brothers and my sisters, we get so much pushback, you know, like, oh, that don't matter. Politics, I'm not political. They ain't got nothing to do with me. They don't listen to me. They don't care about what I have to say. And what I realized is like with the community and government, we're in a relationship, whether we want to be or not, right? So with the whole power to vote, that's basically like if you're not exercising that right, if you're not voting, you're basically in a relationship and you're not voicing your opinion. You're not allowed to speak your truth and say how you truly feel and decide where the relationship should go. You know, and that's what I see with our community and with local government. So it inspired me. It hit me like my purpose here. I'm an artist, right? I'm a writer. That's how I can connect with the people. That's how I can relate, you know, versus giving them a long lecture on why you need to vote, what positions, you know, people don't like being in school. You know, you come up to somebody with a clipboard, they run away, you know. But I figured if I could rap it to you, if I could, you know, put it in poetry form and actually tell my true story on why I vote, then maybe it could touch lives and maybe it could spark the minds of others just to think differently. So that was the inspiration behind that piece. And then fast forward, I recorded it, put it on my Freedom Fighter EP and had it out as just an acapella. And then actually, man, after the uprising and everything happened with George Floyd, this guy named Jacob had interviewed me over at Denmark from Europe with Danish TV. Yeah, they did a whole story on me. And that story that story was like streaming in Europe. And one of the producers out in Denmark got inspired by the story and hit me up on Instagram. It was like, man, I love what you're doing. Let's get creative. Can we do something together? And the idea was like, let me see what he can do with the Why Vote poem. So I sent him the poem, and I promise you, he just had the acapella, and he created the instrumentation around it. So all those sounds, the music and everything, shout out to Samuel Madison out there in Denmark, Europe. He put together that track, man. And then we linked up a month ago and was like, we need to get this out before the election, you know. And we shot the video ourselves. That was my first video I shot and edited too, by the way. Challenging us to do new things. But really, that's what N4 is all about, though. What we do is utilize our artistry as activism to combat social stigmas, right? And N4 stands for new mindset, new media, new leaders, and new narratives. So we really pride ourselves on those things. This whole thing about new mindset.
Say that one more time, Lewiee Blaze. My bad. Say that one more time. What's N4 stand for?
Oh, yeah, for sure. New mindsets, new media, new leadership, and new narratives.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It's the four powers. It's the four powers, you know, and that's what we believe it could be a pathway to your own liberation. You feel me? Having a new mindset. That's self-care. It's about having self-love, knowing who you are. New narratives is about knowing who you are. That's that self-worth. New media is about self-expression. You know, and we realize it's multiple mediums to art as well. It's not just about rapping and singing. You feel me? I be saying you be gardening, Rashad. You feel me? Agriculture. That's an art to itself. You feel me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All of those things. So we got to express ourselves. You know, we realize we don't need an audience to be live. You feel me? We wake up, we broadcasting live all day naturally. You know, and with new leadership, that's all about self-confidence. That's walking into your rightful place of power, understanding like our crown has already been bought and paid for. We just have to wear it. Just got to put it on. You know, and that's what the four powers is all about. So really what we're doing right now as N4 is just investing all of our creative energy into activism work. So how can we be creative? How can we create our own platform, put out art that could relate to others, that could inform others? We're big on entertaining and informing because we can't just be singing and dancing all the time. We got to start giving our people.
They expect us to sing and dance. You know what I mean?
Exactly. They expect us to sing and dance, you know, but we want to be educated. We mix education with entertainment, basically. So the most recent thing that we did is launch this new series called Young Voices Matter. where we recorded 4 different episodes around the overarching theme of civic engagement and community leadership, specifically with the intention to get young people out to vote this year. We had some amazing keynote speakers. Elijah Norris was actually a part of it. We had Eli Dares, Anika, and Kartumu King. And then we also incorporated some performers. Shout out to Savano, Juice Lord. They came over and lit it up. And we've been streaming those episodes once a week, every Tuesday in October. And we have a very special 2-hour special streaming tomorrow, actually, November 2nd, one day before the election. So make sure y'all tune into that at the N4 Collective. It'll be streaming live on Facebook. And that right there, we're going to focus all our energy in there for 2021 to keep on cranking content like that out. It's so many topics to be hit on, so many problems to be solved. And we're just looking to create that platform and shine a light on the community leadership that's actually activating, is actually doing stuff. You know, we don't want to talk about the problems, but we want to show people that there are people out here creating solutions, and there are ways that you can get engaged. So that's what's coming 2021. Young Voices Matter. N4, shout out to Minnesota Young Champions, Hook and Ladder Theater. This is not an individual adventure. It's a collective. It's a community. It takes a village. So,
yes, sir. Yeah. And see, the one thing, you know, Elijah said this earlier. You just said it right now, and it lets me know, right, that the young folks have to lead the way, right? And I don't consider myself an old head yet, but you said solutions, right? You talked about solutions right there at the end. What has, you know, whether it's thinking about why vote, thinking about the work you're doing at N4 with N4, what has the response been from young people, right? You said like, hey, we got to do this in a different way. Having these old heads get on TV and say vote, or doing it that traditional way, it don't work. Barely works for those folks, but it ain't working for younger folks. So what's been the response as you're doing that work, knowing that you're trying to make that connection to, you know, people taking control of that power that we have, that agency?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most definitely. The response from us, from our perspective, and from the other young people that I talk to, you know, we are very much ready to walk into our power, you know, and we actually, N4, we go by this quote of saying the wise are young and the young are wise. And simply what that is stating is that we have lived experiences too. Like, we acknowledge we haven't been here longer than certain individuals, you know, and I'm big on letting young people know that, like, we got to respect our elders. We got to open up our ears. We got to listen more, right? Because this has to be an intergenerational movement. Liberation is not going to come by just the young people going, you know, and leaving the elders behind. That's not how we would do it. The elders can't just go and leave the young people behind. We need the wisdom of our elders and the energy of the young folks, and we need to marry the two. And then that is a way we'll begin to change the narrative. But really with young folks, you know, I'm seeing we fed up with being silenced and ceiling, you know, feeling like our opinions don't matter. We fed up with not being at decision-making tables, not having equal access to opportunities. You know, and it gets to a point to where as a young person, you got to pick which way you're going to go, right? And unfortunately, in the neighborhood that I grew up in, some of those outlets that you go to are very negative, you know, and I was blessed enough to see the other side, you know, be engaged with my high school for recording arts and go to different conferences and meet community leaders like yourselves and see that there are people that's out here who do care, and who do want to give you the platform, who do want to give you the light. So really my role has been being the bridge between the two, between the young people and the folks that actually do care, and kind of bridging that gap, essentially. But yeah, we just ready to do it for ourselves. Honestly, it's like by us, for us mentality. You know, we respect our elders. We will turn to them, and I got elders I talk to all the time, go to for advice. I got some prayer warriors when I need somebody to pray with me. Like, I got those things, and I let other young people know to have those things. It's essential to have a mentor. You know, those different things are essential. But if you are silenced and if you are silent and you feel like somebody is just playing this power game with you, then forget it and do it yourself. You know, and that's my mentality. I'm not gonna wait for anybody. I'm not gonna let nobody tell me that I can't do something or my opinion isn't valid. You feel me? I know what I'm capable of. So it's really just knowing your true power.
I remember, And Lewiee Blaze, you know, it's always speaking that truth to power. So I appreciate it. Appreciate you keeping it real, right? I remember we had a conversation probably about a year ago, year and a half ago, man, when you were really turning up, leveling up. And I remember one of the questions you asked me was sort of something around navigating the space. And you didn't say it in these words, but sort of like dealing with being a young person, trying to get stuff done, right? You obviously had a mindset, had the skills to be able to do that. I asked Elijah the same question, so I'm gonna ask you, right? What's it been like? And you're starting to get at it a little bit in that last response, but what's it been like as a young person trying to navigate the space, be a part of the change with the community, when you might be considered new in the space, right? What's it been like dealing with that stuff?
I say it's mixed emotions, you know. I say for me, I'm cut from a different cloth. So like I'm the type of person, I could walk into a room full of corporate people, I could walk into a room full of church folks, I could walk into a room full of gangbangers,
Yes,
and
sir.
I could be myself. You feel me?
Yeah.
And I could find a way to relate to somebody. So when as a young person navigating some of these spaces, what I found is like, for some reason people have this certain stigma of what you are and what you are capable of doing, right? So I find it as a young person that I gotta go above and beyond to prove myself, right? And really what we get challenged on is just basic information, like, okay, this young person, you saying all that, but do you have the facts? Like, do you know the true information? So what it is a challenge for me as a young person, and not just be out here running my mouth, but actually go and do homework and be informative, because that's where we get tested at, really, is our emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
I feel like as young people, we get tested up here, you know. But once we show them, once we flex back and show them, like, yeah, I'm on my P's and Q's, you feel me? I know these statistics, I know what I'm talking about, I have the information. Then we receive that respect, I feel like. So it's really just destigmatizing some of those stereotypes, really, you know, and it's really how we show up and how we represent ourselves. So yeah,
That's real. And for the audience listening, it's like you heard Elijah sort of say something similar to this early on in the show, right? Where it's like getting that information helps stand up in those spaces, helps with that confidence. And I'll say, you know, y'all's a little bit younger than me, right? And I still had to deal with some of the elders or some of the folks who, you know, thought they owned the space, right? So I just want to say, y'all's way sharper. How old are you guys? 22?
I'm 24.
24?
yeah, I'm 22.
22?
Be 23 in a couple weeks, baby. 11/11.
Hey,
11,
turn up,
11.
boy.
Happy birthday, happy early birthday. You know what I mean? But this is something that I always sort of look at, right? When I was 22, 24, I might have had a career or whatever, but I'll say I wasn't as sharp as you guys, right? I wasn't, you know, 10 toes down at that time, right? I sort of had this idea that, you know, I got to do this from the inside. There's this traditional way, right? I mean, Elijah, it was when I was working on White Bear Lake, right? It's like being this African-American liaison. Oh, yeah, I'm doing something, right? And I was helping, but it takes a little bit more, maybe passion, pain, whatever you want to call it, however you want to describe it, to be where y'all young brothers are at this time, right? And Lewiee, when I think of your artistry, that's one thing, right? I mean, I've listened to songs of yours where it's like, hey, you could be rapping about drugs, girls, clubbing, blah, blah, right? But I feel like you understand the power of your voice, the power of that message, right? And how it connects to other things that are important in this space, right? And there was a question earlier, and I want you to dive into this. You know, Dr. Nathan. What's up, Joe?
What's up, Joe?
Nathan said, would you please ask Mr. Blaze what has happened with his effort to receive unemployment insurance? How do you feel the state responded to him? How do you feel the state responded to you? So you were working on that. Just sort of give us a little overview of that, and then your thoughts, will you?
Yeah, this goes back to decisions being made without young people being at the table and people not being competent enough to understand lives of others, right? So with this whole unemployment issue, when COVID hit us, a bunch of people had to qualify for unemployment assistance, right? But there's actually a state law in Minnesota, and it's actually the only state that got this law that pretty much prevents young people in high school to receive any unemployment assistance, right? But what that did, that caused a huge problem, specifically for young people who were paying their own bills, living on their own, and possibly even taking care of their home as well. Even if they was living with their mothers, they still probably had to pay bills and stuff. And I came up out of high school for recording arts, where it's a lot of us young people who have that personal responsibility, and we grow up at a early age. And you might be 17, having your own apartment, having your own bills, and then we got young people who just lost their jobs to COVID, and now they can't get unemployment. So this was a huge issue, I felt. And we linked up with a group, the Young Twin City Change Makers, and our part is N4 was just how can we help support? Because I'm out of high school, that didn't affect me directly, even though I didn't get any unemployment assistance and stuff like that. Like, honestly, I'm not a government resource baby. I just, like it's a whole process. I feel like I don't need that stuff. I don't depend on the government for anything. I create my own opportunities. But what I saw for these young people who really needed this assistance and they couldn't get it, we had to do something. So we put out the Don't Forget Us campaign. The young people tried to meet with the governor's office, and they met with some other elected officials, tried to get representatives to support their campaign and support the bill. But it was really some Minnesota nice stuff. It's like people basically saying like, oh yeah, this is important. We care about this. We want to do something. But no action was put behind that. You feel me? So they pretty much just tried to just show us pity, through words and everything, but nobody really put action behind it to really get this law changed or do something for young people that would help us economically. You feel me? Because we need money too. We got phone bills, we gotta pay rent sometimes, we gotta eat food. You feel me? Like
you're human beings, right?
yeah,
All
exactly.
human beings should be taken care of.
Especially we taxpayers too. Like
right?
You 16 and you working, we cannot have taxation without representation.
Right.
We just can't. That's blasphemous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So now really the mentality with the state is like, if y'all can't meet us here and here, you can't do something to make this change, then it's gonna be other repercussions and everything. So I can't really speak about the campaign because I'm not involved directly with the campaign anymore. I really helped out on the artistic side of things and with some connections and try to get the platform out there. They did great things. They got the New York Times wrote about it, Star Tribune wrote about it, Carrie Levin. They got many stories. But yeah, what's in the future to come, you will see young people take an initiative to be the change and create the change they want to see. And we ready to go the distance. You feel me? We ready to go the distance. So yeah, shout out to Joe Nathan. He's been a huge help on that campaign as well with all his media outlet and his networking. Thank you, Joe Nathan, for everything you've done.
Hey, that's what's up. That's what's up. Now you mentioned high school for recording arts, right? And I'm always on education. I'm always on quality education. Can you just, not to get us too far over this way, but talk about your experience at high school for recording arts, how you found yourself at high school for recording arts, maybe the different experiences you had before you got there, and what things were like after you got there that have allowed you to flourish and be the young man that you are today.
Oh man, that's huge. I'm gonna always say high school for recording arts was one of the biggest stepping stones in my life to get me to where I'm at. And I know that fully. Before high school for recording arts, you feel me? I was going to the NBA. You feel me? That was my mindset. I was always a pretty good dude in school. I had straight A's and all that stuff. But what I noticed in like my sophomore, junior year in high school, my passion for basketball and like that dream for me to go to the NBA was like really dying away. I didn't really feel that anymore. The passion was dying. And at the same time, the high school I was going to was MTS. They had a music studio. So I started rapping. I started getting in the studio more because I always been a writer. That's something I always loved. with me, it was always like the NBA or the BET Awards, right? Just crazy. That was my mentality at the time.
Yeah.
So like was making music, but then eventually the school took away their digital media academy. So they took away the studio, took away graphics and all of that. And now it was like, okay, I'm playing basketball and we was decent. But it was like after basketball season, I really ain't want to go to school. You feel me? Like I started feeling like school was not relevant for my purpose. And I just didn't want to be there because like all the work assignments and everything we was doing, I just felt like it wasn't helping me grow as a person. And on the flip side of that, at home, without the teachers and the staff members even knowing, I'm taking care of my 3 little brothers at the same time as a junior in high school. You feel me? And mom disappear, you feel me, not in the house. Like I'm literally taking care of my little brothers as a young man before I'm 18, having to work, you feel me, hit the streets a little bit. I had to, do what I had to do to make some money. So I'm living this double life, you feel me. I'm like in school, I'm trying to be this productive kid, keep my grades up, but that's hard to do when I'm barely getting sleep. I gotta wake up 2 hours early to get my little brothers ready for school, you feel me. I gotta cook, make sure they eating the night before, gotta, make sure we got stuff in the refrigerator. So all those things begin to be a factor. So I'm like, okay, school became less important and family became more important. So honestly, I started dropping out of school. I wasn't going there for a long time. And then what that led me on was a path of self-destruction to where I eventually committed this aggravated robbery. I was 16. I went to JDC, man, and went through that whole process. And this was like a huge turning point for me as well, because in those walls, I felt like I failed my little brothers. You feel me? I felt like I failed my family. I knew that wasn't me. I knew I didn't deserve to be in there. I knew that wasn't a place for me, but it was an opportunity for me to learn and really think about what I wanted to do. So the whole time I was in there, I was just writing, and when I got out, I had so much support from friends and family, and they was telling me like, yeah, you need to go to Studio 4. Like, that's where it's at. They got the music studio for you. They got this, like, that's where you need to be at. So it was really just listening to others and following my heart. And I really went to Studio 4 with the purpose to rap and make music because they had the studio. Like, I wanted to do that. But when I got there, it felt like home. It was family. The teachers and the staff members actually got to know us as individuals. And they was actually able to relate to our lifestyles too. Like, they understood because they grew up the same way, essentially. So that right there was amazing. Then from rapping, from me expressing myself and creating music, the staff members in the school saw my light, but they saw more than just a rapper. They put me on a plane for the first time in my life, sent me to Stanford University to be a keynote speaker. You feel me? Went to Harvard to do a hip hop workshop. And I just started speaking at these different large conferences, performing for thousands of educators. You feel me? Like old white women coming up to me telling me that I'm making them cry and all these different things. And like, I didn't know I had that type of power. You feel me? But it was from that lived experience, from them granting me that opportunity to not just rap, but do poetry, and not just do poetry, but create a speech, you feel me, and story tell and those different things. Then I started networking with people because people wanted to know who I am. So, and I'm curious, I want to know who you are, what you do. So now I learned this term networking, and these different terms just started popping up. And then when I graduated high school for Recording Arts, they came to me for an opportunity to manage a campaign for them as a project manager, pretty much. And we started doing work to change the narrative for young Black males. So we hosted a series of community events, got some people out, hosted focus group conversations. I
remember some of those.
Yeah, had some cool sporting events and all type of stuff. And it pretty much I fell in love with organizing community. I fell in love with getting people together and having conversations because of the real life connections that we made, and the different people that you meet. So really, I just started investing so much time into that community engagement, and it created a bigger picture for me. Now I'm more than just a rapper winning a BET award. You feel me? Now I can be this philanthropist, or I can be this hip hop mogul. You feel me? Or this author. It's many hats I could wear now. So I feel like High School for Recording Arts enlightened me to that fact that I am that I am. I can do this, I can do that, I can do anything I put my mind to. But essentially, at the core, I'm really a storyteller and a visionary, so any way that we can get the message out to people, I want to help get the message out. So that's what High School for Recording Arts did for me. They helped me grow into my full potential, I feel like.
I appreciate you keeping it real, super real right there. I want the audience to know. I asked Lewiee Blaze that question because a lot of times our school system, our educators, teachers, whoever, will have this idea that one size fits all, right? And you just heard from Lewiee Blaze, 22-year-old black man, that ain't always what it is, right? Now I know, Elijah, you got to get up out of here in a minute. I'm over time a little bit, but who's gonna stop us, right? I want y'all to, and I'll start with you, Elijah, then we'll go to Blaze, and then I got a favor to ask you, Blaze, before we really get up out of here. But what's a message to young folks who are looking up to y'all, who might not even be paying attention at all right now, but what's a message of encouragement that you brothers would send our young folks and elders and older folks, right? When we think about justice for our people? Elijah, you go ahead and start, brother.
Bro, I'll kick it off. That's a good question, and it's something that I actually ponder all the time, just to myself. Of if I had a room full of 2,000, 3,000 young people, what message would I tell them? And I think it is to not give up on yourself, right? And if you make a mistake, just realize that it's just a mistake, and you have the rest of your life to make more mistakes and learn from the mistakes that you originally made. I mean, I'm a person, I've made so many mistakes in my life, and if I would have gave up on myself, I probably would still be somewhere with my hand in my head, with my head in my hands. So it's like, I think, but as a young person, you can't really see 10 years down the line. You can't see 15 years down the line. Sometimes we only see right what's in front of us. And honestly, I think one of the many blessings God has given me and provided me with is the ability to see 10, 15, 20 years down the line, not just what's in front of me. So my message to young people is, yes, the now is important, but think what your life is going to be like 5, 10 years from now. And if you really put that work in, that effort in, and ask for support and assistance, you're going to do some great things. And also have your own sense of success. Don't measure your success based on what everybody else wants you to be, or the success that you see on TV, or that your big brother did this and your big sister did this, or my father was this attorney general, so now I got to go into this space and follow behind those footsteps. No, don't do those things. Your success is your success. And only you know what that is, right? Only I know if I'm successful or not. No one else. You guys can assume that I'm successful. You guys can have these all ideas of what Elijah's success is. Exactly. Only Elijah knows if he's successful or not. And I think that's brought me a great deal of peace. The message I got from my elders is, y'all tell us that we need to listen more than we speak. I think that you all need to also take that same advice and listen a little bit more than you all speak. I know that y'all have a wealth of knowledge and we want to get that information. And there's going to be time and space for that. But sometimes you guys got to listen to the young people. And my thing is, I get disgusted when I see elders, older people, making decisions on behalf of young people. Y'all don't know what our needs are. When y'all were going to school, y'all didn't have to go through half the things that we're going through right now. Me and my grandfather were just chopping it up a couple of days ago because I've stayed with them now. We're chopping it up, and he was like, dude, I couldn't imagine being a student right now in 2020. Back when I was your age, I can have a full-time job, pay my mortgage, buy things for your grandmother, and pay off my student tuition, all with the same checks. I ain't have to get a second, third job. And if I did, that was just for vacation money. And if I want to save up for a new car, that was only a couple $1,000s for a newer car. So, I mean, we living under some crazy circumstances right now. So things are a lot different, and they need to realize that. And, we want to get that information from them, but we won't accept it if it's coming down from a condescending point of view and perspective. Don't be condescending. Don't talk down at us. Talk with us. So that's my message for the elders. Don't talk down at us. Don't talk at us. Talk with us, and we will listen.
All right. And I agree. Right. And it's something, Lewiee Blaze, before you came on, it was something I was saying earlier where, 5, 6 years ago, I was going through some of those same things, right? Having to deal with some of the things that I see y'all talk about, some of the things I see y'all go through, whether social media, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. And it's like, you got to just keep pushing, right? I love that message you just shared, brother. Lewiee Blaze, message for the young people, message for the old heads.
For the young people. Hello, you see me?
There you go. You back. You back.
All right, cool. So my message for the young people is simply, nobody is coming to save you. Get that out of your mind. Ain't nobody coming to save you. Don't have that mentality of this savior or some leader, some messiah coming to save you. No, that leader, that only person that could save you truly is you. You said relate to justice. It's this line that I got in Freedom Fighter. Ain't no justice from the outside. That's only within. If more of our people see it that way, then we gonna win.
Man.
I mean, we already won, but fell in the victimhood, disconnected, miseducated, and so misunderstood.
Hey,
Come on, like for real. It's just that really identifying what you are here for, I feel like is so important. That I speak all the time of purpose, of passion, and of peace. Right. And like what Brother Elijah said, determining what your own definition of success is, don't define our success by other people's versions of success. That's a huge lesson I had to learn for myself, even as I was navigating as a young person, and I was comparing myself to other folks that's been here doing it way longer than me. You feel me? And it was making me forget about my accomplishments that I do have. And I did have some forms of success. I just had to change my perspective and look at them as like they were success. Right. So my message for young people, do what you love. Do what you good at, you feel me? Provide what the world need, and figure out a way you can get paid for it. It's a Japanese saying called ikigai. Go check it up, and that's all about purpose and vocation. But really, just understand, ain't nobody coming to save you. You gonna have to do it yourself. But really, yeah, that's what we need, a do-it-yourself program, right? Like Malcolm X said, self-determination program. It's already too late program, right? that's what we need.
Otherwise, we going extinct. I ain't gonna lie to you, right? One of my mentors, rest in peace, Mr. Millsap, he would always say, and when he first said this, I just thought like, oh, this older guy, you know what I mean? He's being OC, right? But he would always say, we would go to SA in the morning before working on some stuff, and get a Slurpee or whatever. It'd be early in the morning. He'd be getting a Slurpee, mix it with Dr. Pepper, Pepsi, Sprite. And, he would be like, hey, I done did what I had to do. I can drink whatever I want, right? But the one thing he'd say, man, is like, if our people don't get it together, we're going to be extinct. You know what I mean? And both of you brothers have talked about huge lessons that you've learned. And I ain't here to preach to you, but I'm gonna do a little bit of preaching since it's Sunday, right? Them huge lessons, those aren't easy lessons to learn, right? I wasn't 22 when at 22, I was just starting to think about the fact that my only goal was to live longer than my dad, who got killed at 20, right? So at 22, I was just getting to that point where, well, damn, I gotta have some goals, man. Right, I sort of set a low bar as that ceiling, right? So I want to just say, y'all's talking about major things. You're expressing yourselves in ways that folks are engaging with, right? And even if y'all have to navigate the BS in the space, I just want y'all to know, y'all's kings. You got it under control. Keep doing what you're doing, right? Lewiee Blaze, do me a favor just before I let y'all guys get up out of here, right? You started flowing and then I started getting amped. Just drop something on us while you on here, man. I've been wanting you to come on and just drop some heat. Now we got the young kings on here. Drop something on us, Lewiee Blaze. I don't care. Even if it's got a cuss word, who cares? Drop it on us.
All right, I got you. I said, free. Freedom is really knowing yourself. Free. Freedom is taking care of your health. Free. Freedom is generational wealth, breaking generational curses and making it out of hell. Born in the hood, I swear we hypnotized. See me with my hoodie on and now I'm stigmatized. I really be the truth, you living in a lie. Boys fire in the youth, you see it in our eyes. Why? Because I refuse to be a fool, consumed and used as a tool. Dropped out of school today, I found my purpose in the stew. The truth of the matter is self-expression is liberation. We need progression, more possessions and better payment. I've been breaking the pavement, freeing folks from the cages by freeing myself. They watch it and find it as inspiration. Champ of the people, we need more of this inspiration. This here is for the next generation. From the moment you born, they snatch away your crown. Your family is scorned. They try to keep you down. Everything full circle when it comes back around. Is you gonna be another slave building up the town, or take back your crown? Have everything reclaimed, then walk into your power. Teach them to do the same. Yeah, they just want to see us in a box or a grave. But look at where we at and how far we done came. Yeah, we can be free. Free.
Hey, my brothers, this comment before I let y'all get out of here, because I want y'all to know this, right? People are paying attention. This person says, my 9-year-old son and grandson will benefit from the work your generation does. Thank you. All right.
That's what we grinding for,
Yes,
right?
sir. Yes, sir. I'm gonna let y'all get to y'all Sundays. Stay warm. Well, Lewiee Blaze, you look like you somewhere warm, so I know you're gonna stay warm. Elijah, put your winter coat on when you leave the house. I appreciate y'all coming on. We're gonna keep partnering, keep working together. Y'all know I'm listening, right? Iron sharpens iron. We gotta keep doing it. So y'all keep doing y'all's thing. I'm gonna keep doing my thing. I appreciate y'all coming on. I know the audience appreciates it because they still here an hour and 20 minutes later, right? Great show, y'all. Appreciate y'all coming on, all right?
Thank you, Brother Rashad. Thank you, Brother
Yeah,
Lewiee.
thank you both. Thank you both. It's an honor.
Sir, easy. Yeah, I love that. I love that, y'all. You know, in this work of social justice, fighting the fight, speaking that truth to power, you know, it gets tough. It ain't easy, right? And when I say at 22, at 24, I wasn't doing those things. I wasn't. All right. I mean, you heard them talk about having to define success for ourselves, right? What does success mean to you? You know, something to think about, right? I want to thank y'all for tuning in today. I want y'all to know something too. We're going to take this show to the next level, right? I'm trying to get us through this election noise. I know everybody's focused on Tuesday. Make sure you get out and vote. If you haven't already, set your clocks back. It's daylight savings time or something, right? Fall back. I woke up super early, forgetting to pay attention to my phone rather than my clock. But pay attention, all right? Tuesday's a big day. If you're in St. Paul, like I said, I'm voting for Jim Vu. Minneapolis, you've got some big races in District 2. Sharon Elameen's the choice there. District 4, we had her on the show before, Adriana Cirillo. Those would be my picks. If we're thinking about quality education, we know that it starts with folks that are in those positions of what we think of as power, right? The elected officials who have the ability to sign the policies on the dotted line. You heard Elijah talk about Sharon Elameen. You heard the passion that's there, the knowledge, and I hope you heard and picked up on something from both of those young kings when it comes to solutions, right? If we can get more of us thinking about solutions that work for our children, we're going to be in a better place, right? Tuesday's a big day. I know you want to know who I'm voting for president. I know my grandma's watching. I'm going to vote for Biden and Harris. Not because I think, you know, they're the best choice, right? But right now they're the best choice, right? When I think about, you know, voting, right? Voting for me and for a lot of folks, it's, you know, you're voting to issues you care about, right? And it's easy for some folks, you know, you see Lil Wayne's stupid ass, you know, thinking about himself, thinking about his money, right? So I would just say to folks, you're going out to vote Tuesday, or if you've already cast your votes, that's great. But if you're going out to vote Tuesday, don't necessarily get caught up in voting for all of your own personal interests, right? You heard Elijah say it ain't all about the money, right? But we know we still got to get some money. To me, voting is about looking out for folks who we know every system is pushing to the margins, right? And I know some of my friends are like, Rashad, why you gonna vote for Biden and them? That's what I'm doing, y'all. All right. I mean, I think we've seen enough hatred, violence, all of that type of stuff, where maybe I don't even have to deal with that stuff personally, but I know that my neighbors are. And if my neighbors are, then that means that I am too, right? Make sure you go vote. We'll see y'all next Sunday, 10 a.m. I appreciate y'all tuning in for so long. We're going to get back to education next week, right? The elections will be over. One of the things we got to remember is that the elections come every 2 years, every 4 years, but that work has got to keep going every day, right? That grind can't stop, right? Local elections matter. Pay attention locally. Plug your nose, hold your breath, cast your vote for Biden. All right. I love y'all. It's been a good hour and 25 minutes. I got to make some eggs and bacon or some sausage for my daughter when she wakes up. Preteens sleep all day, party all night. But we got to love our children, y'all. It's the dark side of education. Rashad Turner here. We on Justice for the Cities. Y'all have a great Sunday. Stay warm. Vote, vote, vote. What'd you say, Grandma? Vote. Our lives depend on it. You're right. I love you. Love y'all for tuning in. I love you even if you didn't tune in. All right. Peace.